Welcome to Chapter 5, Membrane Structure and Function. When we talked about cells in the last chapter, part of the cell that we talked about was the membrane. We are now going to concentrate on that to see exactly how this works to allow things to go in, to go out, why it's important to have this phospholipid bilayer with a lot of other things. But before we do that, we're going to look at a few of the materials from Chapter 4 and review those. One of those is to look at the anatomy of an animal cell. And you will note here that not only is there a plasma membrane, but there are many different membrane-bound organelles in the endomembrane system. The nuclear membrane, for example, is then continuous with the rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Vesicles break off and join with the Golgi apparatus, which then can export things or use materials inside the cell. You'll notice that a lot is going on there, and it's important to be able to separate functions one from the other so that they don't interfere with one another. In a plant cell, we have similar membranes, and they're simply arranged differently. The cell also happens to have a rigid cell wall that's composed of cellulose that helps maintain its structure and keep it plumped up, along with that internal vesicle, the large central vesicle. Now, I mentioned the endomembrane system, and both plants and animals and all eukaryotic cells have this. And you can see here many different specializations, from the nuclear membrane, the endoplasmic reticulum, a bunch of different transport vesicles that contain proteins that have been modified and will be modified further in the Golgi apparatus, lysosomes where digestive enzymes break down worn out cell parts or can actually surround incoming bacteria and viruses and destroy those also. Also, you'll see some secretory vesicles where things leave the cell. We're going to find out a lot more about how all of that works today. And then finally, we're going to look at the structures of some of the materials that form parts that allow the cell to move. And while these are not exactly part of the exterior part of the cell, of the plasma membrane, they're connected to it, and so we'll look at that too. So, these are some of the learning outcomes for today's lecture. And as we go through the lecture, think about why it's necessary to create compartments with membranes. Why is this necessary for cellular life, particularly eukaryotic cell life? And then how does this compartmentalization increase the cell efficiency and the use of energy? And what ways have membranes enabled cells to specialize within an organism?